No, not that retro. There we go. We have it pretty easy these days. Websites that will put together your very own state-of-the-art PC for you. But that got me thinking, how difficult was it to build a PC 15, even 10 years ago? I know the model numbers have changed, as well as they've made enhancements to the parts, but what about the build itself? Was it completely different, or is it pretty similar to what we have now? I need to find out. I opened up a computer here from about 2002, and while it's clearly outdated, the parts themselves and where they're located seems to be the same as they are now. We're going to start here with the motherboard. As we can see, this is where the CPU would go. Right there is where the RAM would be located. We have your graphics card and all that stuff that would be placed right there. Fan would sit on top of the CPU right there. And then right about here, we can see where the screws would go in. Right there and there. There's a couple more over here. This is the random access memory. There's two of them in this computer. Temporarily stores information so your computer can access it. You're going to place them right there, and you will hear a click. And the snaps will snap down, just like that. Putting the second one in, you should hear a click when it's done. Before going any further, I wanted to make sure that this motherboard was tightened into place. It has 4 screws on there that you got to take care of that is set into the tower itself. Once we tighten those, we'll be on to the next step. The CPU is basically the brains of the computer. This performs the logical input-output operations. This is what runs the whole machine. It's right here. Very important piece of hardware for the computer. Very important. This is the heatsink. There's the thermal paste. It gets placed on top of the CPU. This helps even out the airflow from the fan that gets placed on top of it to cool the CPU and keep it from overheating. This is a very important piece inside the computer. This is the graphics card. This is what feeds the images to the monitor wherever you have it plugged in at. This one goes right into the green slot right there. You should plug it in and sort of click it down in. Do want to take a quick moment here and flip the camera around so you can see. This has a Ethernet cable plug-in that goes into one of these PCI slots, the white ones right there that kind of snaps down in, as well as a modem plug-in snapping down into the white PCI. You should kind of hear it click. That's something that a computer nowadays we just don't see anymore. Take the green cable, plug it into the modem, and then it plugs into a green switch right there. And now that is connected. We're going to keep the camera flipped around here so we can see the power supply go in. This is what gives power to all the other different units inside the computer. It's pretty low power supply wattage compared to what you would find today. Like a lot of computers nowadays, this one still had a CD and a DVD drive. and they just slide into these slots just like this, and you can click those green things together on the sides of them to pull them out easily. The hard drive is the same as the CD drive, it just slides into the slot right there. This old computer has a zip drive. It's basically a floppy disk sized drive that acts as a USB port. Instead of a 2 gig, a 4 gig, 16 gig like we're used to, they would go down in megabytes. 125, 250 megabytes, which is a lot less space than we have now. You guys thought I forgot about that, didn't you? I was surprised to see that after my research on how to put a PC together, just how similar the parts were on a computer that's over a decade old. Sure, there were some parts that weren't used anymore, as well as every single part being completely outdated, but all in all, the basic components of the computers we use nowadays were still inside this old machine. These old computers are still great learning tools if you're an aspiring PC enthusiast. The main point, I guess, would be, just because the PC is old, does not mean there's nothing you can learn from it.